In this video, we'll dive into the world of pencil grading. I'll explain the different lead grades, what they mean, and what they are best used for. Then we'll put those pencils to test with a practical exercise to see how they perform. These numbers are called lead grades and they indicate how hard and dark a pencil is. I've got a range of pencils here, a 2H, an HB, a 2B, and the 6B. Ideally, you'd have all the same brand for your pencils, but I have a mix of different brands here. Lead is actually a bit of a misnomer since modern pencil cores are made of a mixture of graphite and clay. If you're new to pencils, I've got a general guide on my channel about pencils and their proper use. You can just find that tutorial from the link above. There are two grading systems for pencil cores. The European system, which uses letters and numbers, and the American system, which only uses numbers. For this video, we'll stick with the more comprehensive European system as that's what I use in all of my tutorials. So what do the H and B in pencil grades mean? H stands for hard and B stands for black. H grades. A pencil with an H number is going to be hard, sharp, and light. The higher the H number, the harder the pencil. This means the pencil will create lighter marks on the paper. H stands for hard because these leads have a higher ratio of clay to graphite. This makes them harder, lighter, and extremely smudge resistant. You can use H-grade pencils for outlines, light sketches, and technical drawings. However, they can become quite scratchy, especially as you move up the scale towards 10H. B grades. A pencil with a B number is going to be black, soft, and dark. B stands for black because these leads have a higher graphite content to clay ratio. This makes them smooth, dark, and smudgy. Artists love them for their versatility. You can use B-grade pencils for shading and even creating brush-like strokes. Some people prefer using lower B grades for writing because they require less pressure to create a dark line. While we know B stands for blackness, the B pencil without a number in front of it is actually a 1B pencil. It comes before the 2B and is slightly lighter. So a 2B pencil should be darker than a B pencil. F and HB grades. F and HB are in the middle of the spectrum. Depending on the brand, F can stand for firm or fine and is a little lighter than HB. HB is the standard lead grade for writing because it's dark enough to be easily read while having minimal smudging. The letter F on a pencil means that it can sharpen to a fine point. This HB pencil is my middle pencil. It's right in the middle of the grading scale. You can go lighter from here with 2H, 3H, and so on, all the way up to 8H. Those pencils get progressively lighter, with 8H being extremely light. From the HB pencil, we can go darker to 2B, 3B, 4B, and so on, all the way up to 8B. Those pencils get progressively darker, with 8B being the darkest standard grade. Of course, there are even darker pencils beyond 8B, like my 10B and 14B pencils, but we'll stick to 8B and 8H for this tutorial. Let's do a quick test to see what these different pencils can do. I encourage you to try this out with all your pencils as well. I'm going to draw a small grid. I have 4 pencils for now, so I'll divide it into 4 rows and 5 columns to create a scale. Let's start with the HB pencil. We have the HB pencil here, which is a combination of hard and black, making it a great middle ground. It's a very popular pencil and you'll often find them lying around by default. First, I'm going to start with this square and shade as lightly as possible, just barely touching the paper. You'll see I'm holding my pencil a little differently to achieve this light touch. It's about letting the pencil rest on the paper and gently moving it side to side. Then I'll jump down to the opposite end of the scale and shade this square as darkly as I can. This will give us an idea of the potential range of each pencil. This dark square might require a little more back and forth to achieve a solid tone. Next, I'll shade this square in the middle, aiming for a tone that's directly halfway between the lightest and darkest tones. Remember, when shading, try to keep the pressure even and fill in any gaps of white paper. My goal is to find a tone that's directly between the lightest and mid-tone to go in this square. Then I'll find a tone that's halfway between the mid-tone and the darkest tone for this square. Starting with the lightest square, I'll keep the pressure really light initially. We can always go darker later if needed. I'll compare to the two existing tones, then find a tone that's halfway between the lightest and the mid-tone. I'll do the same for the other square, aiming for a tone that's halfway between the mid-tone and the darkest. I'll start light and then adjust the pressure until I get the right tone. This process shows us the range of tones our HB pencil can achieve from the lightest to the darkest. We'll repeat this exercise with the 2H, 2B, and 6B pencils. Each time I'll start with the lightest possible tone, which might be barely visible on the video, and then go right down to the darkest. With the 2H pencil or any edge pencil, you'll need to apply a lot of pressure and go back and forth to get a dark tone. You can see a huge difference between the darkest tone of my 2H pencil and the darkest tone of my HB. While part of that difference might be due to the different brands, pencil grading can vary between brands as I mentioned. A 2H is definitely a very light pencil. Let's go ahead and test the 2B and 6B pencils. Then we'll take a look at all the results together. Let's continue the exercise and see what other insights we can glean. My typical approach is to start with a 2H pencil, then work in more tones with a 2B, and finally use a 6B for those really deep dark tones. You can also see a difference in the quality of the marks these pencils create. The 2H is quite scratchy. You can see the lines I've made and the white gaps where I haven't shaded carefully. As you move down to the 2B and 6B, the pencils get smoother and lighter. They get blunt faster, which means we might need to sharpen them more often if we want sharp lines. But it also allows for that really nice, smooth shading that can highlight the texture of the paper. This is a feature you can sometimes use to your advantage. I think we're done with this exercise in these 4 pencils. But what does this tell us? Well, it's clear that the lightest tone we can achieve is with the 2H pencils, so if you're drawing something where you don't want the lines to show up later, that's a great choice. The darkest tone is achievable with our 6B pencil. If you're working on a drawing that needs really deep blacks, you'll want to grab that 6B pencil. There's not much difference between the HB and 2B, but the 2B can go a bit darker, giving it a slightly more range than the HB. When it comes to pencils, you have a few options: wooden pencils, mechanical pencils, or lead holders. The wooden pencil offers the most extensive range of lead grades, plus the thick core allows you to fully appreciate the character of each grade. And that's it for this tutorial. If you found these tips helpful, please subscribe to my channel for more drawing tips and tutorials. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for joining me and happy drawing!